Come on, let's go. Roxy, come on. Hey guys, how are you today? So, we are coming out here in the garden. I've got my roo on, got a basket, and the dogs are gonna hang out here on the porch. I've got a glass of iced tea because it is hot out. We're getting to the point where the sun's lowered and technically we should be cooling off, but this week is supposed to be really, really hot. Not a huge surprise considering it's July. No. But tonight we are going to be filming a garden tour. So cheers, and here we go. Okay, so we are out here in the herb garden, and I wanted to take a second to talk about a few product drops that I have going into the urban shop on the website. So for those of you who don't know, I do make handcrafted products from off of our homestead. So it's a really great way if you guys are interested in supporting us, our content, and what we're doing here. You can head over to that urban farm shop. So this guy is a staple standby. This is the calendula bar, and it's got organic calendula that we grow here on the homestead. I infuse oil with the calendula, and then I add the calendula flower in. Amazing, amazing stuff for acne prone, sensitive skin, allergy skin issues, psoriasis, eczema. It's just an all-around good soap. It's very, very neutral in scent, so if you are somebody who is very sensitive to smell, this is a great way to go in skincare. Now I've got another one. This is the new guy, and let me turn him around here so you can see. All right, so this is the brand spanking new baby. This is a lemon balm soap. Came right off of the homestead here, got infused oil with lemon balm. It's got dried lemon balm in it. In fact, that's where it's got its color. Any of the colors that you see in the soaps that I have come from the organic herb product that I've incorporated in. And I mean, it's just so pretty. And it's super, super calming. So it's calming for the skin, number one, and it's calming for the mind and emotions as well. So if you're looking for a way to chill and relax, this soap is gonna be a good way to go. All right, because I knew I would forget to tell you guys about that if I didn't go ahead and run in, grab those, and bring them out and show you. I'm really bad about that sometimes, guys. I'm sorry. I'm really bad about letting you know when I have product that is launching and dropping. So I'm trying to get a little bit better about that. All right, let's go on ahead and get started on this garden tour before we, steam bath, because yeah, it's a thing, especially right now. Originally, it only went to where you see this lavender. So right down there where our little llama is, that's as far as it went, which is really, really tight, especially for the amount of herbs that we use. And the amount that we use has been increasing yearly for probably the past 5 years. So we have quite a few, obviously, duplicates. This is actually my favorite sage. It is a variegated purple sage. It has these really gorgeous leaves. It does not have what I would call a bitter aftertaste. There's some of the sages that I think just have this bitterness in the background, and this purple sage does not have it. We have been able to overwinter it. What I usually end up doing is just after the first frost comes in and bites it and basically it looks dead, just cut it down. There will be hard stem stock that will develop, I don't cut the hard stem, new growth will shoot off of that old stem. And then I just leave it in the ground. Well, in the bed, I should say. Now, for a lot of us, things like this will come back from year to year. Other things that we have over here that I have been able to keep, I want to say for the last 5 years, are gonna be, we have this thyme plant and this thyme plant. Both came from the exact same plant, and I just divided it up because it had gotten really root bound here in the holes. I also have one more of it down here, the very end. We've had some bad soil issues, particularly here in the main part of the bed. I've amended things, and this guy's actually starting to perk up after I've amended it, but as you can see, he's a little scraggly still. He should rebound a little bit more and start looking like his counterparts over here. And these actually need to be kind of cut back and dried. Also, this here, now this is one guy that I will not put in a bed, and that is mint. Anything in the mint family basically has the capacity of taking over the universe. So if you want something that is going to get kind of nice and full and bushy, because I mean, this is just in a hole like this, and look at how full this mint is here. So if you are wanting a plant or a variety to take over a corner to help choke out weeds or something along that lines, a mint, anything in the mint family is going to be a great option in that regard. Now, the other thing that we have over here, this is also marjoram. Yeah, marjoram. Yeah, here's the marjoram. Okay, so the marjoram, that guy's 3 years old, I think. It's not as big as I thought it would be this year, but you know, what can you do, right? So the other one is going to be oregano. And these guys, all you do is after the first frost and you see it's turned brown and it looks dead, just cut it back. Okay, just cut it back to almost ground level. Leave maybe a ½ inch above ground is usually what I kind of shoot for. And if under normal circumstances, it should come back the next year. I've seen people who grow it and they are in like Washington State, Utah, Michigan, places that get really cold, and it comes back every year for them. So it's a little bit of a perennial type situation. You can have some dieback. We have had oregano die back to the point where it doesn't come back, but it's been very few and far between. I think I've maybe bought 3 or 4 oregano plants my entire gardening experience. Same goes with the, so I've got this chive, and I did divide out the chive. We've also got chive over there and over here. And then this is another oregano. We got this one this year. This is an Italian oregano. For whatever reason, our other oregano over there decided to get really heat hot. And I mean spicy, like you don't need jalapeno. Spicy. We're not sure what's happened with the thing, but we ended up putting some fresh last year in chili, and we about died between it and the little bit of chili pepper that we put in to the chili. Yeah, it was extremely spicy. So we went on ahead and invested in another oregano, and it's an Italian oregano because we don't know what this one's going to do this year. Also, we have these calendula, I thought I was going to lose them there for a while. You probably saw them on some of my vlogs. We had, like I said, we had some soil issues, but after I've amended and fixed things up, they really perked up and they're looking good. We've got this guy here, of course, and down here, and then there's one over at the end. It just got done blooming, but that is where I get the stuff for my soap from, guys, right there. Also, you notice this big guy right here, and right there. So this is tarragon. It's very hard and challenging for us to find tarragon in our area, so we've not had the space to put it in a bed before. We went on ahead and decided to take advantage of it and see if we can get it to overwinter like we do with the oregano and the thyme, the marjoram, and the sage. Gonna see if we can get it to come back. We're also gonna kind of do something similar with some of the basils, because I've seen other gardeners where they have been able to get their basil to come back the following year when they have it in a larger bed situation. So I went on ahead and I shoved this guy in, and I actually, oh my gosh. I mean, it just smells so good. I knew I was going to end up harvesting something out here, and I had a feeling it was going to be on the herb side. Oh, so anyway, squirrel. We put it in here with the intent of hopefully being able to overwinter it, and having it come back next spring and summer, and maybe not having to seed start it. Although I do have a really pretty basil that I am going to seed start next year, and I think it's called like an opal basil, and it's beautiful. So yeah, you'll be seeing that next year. Sorry, I need to drink a tea. It's toasty out here, guys. I'm not gonna lie, it's really toasty. Now, speaking of basil, I also have another interesting kind of basil here. Let me show you. Now, before you ask me how, I don't get them confused. Okay, very easy. See the stem on this? It's kind of a purpley, hopefully you can see that. Sort of a purpley color. And the underside here, also where the veining is a purple kind of a color. And this is a cinnamon basil. Now, if you compare it to the regular basil, of course, completely green, green stems, green leaves, green ribbing all along there. So very, very easy to not get confused. Now, does it have a lot of quote-unquote cinnamon flavor? It has a light cinnamon flavor. It is not boom in your face that tastes like cinnamon, that smells like cinnamon, because it doesn't. But I have found this to really be coming in handy, especially in regards to my chili making. It's one of the things, it's one of my secret ingredients in chili and in anything chocolate is cinnamon. So the cinnamon basil has enough of that undercurrent cinnamon cast that it just adds a really, really awesome flavor to that. It's also really good in beef stews. So I've been very surprised how much I've enjoyed this basil variety. I mostly grew it, believe it or not, for the pollinator aspect, because it shoots up these really pretty purple and white flowers, and the bees go nuts for it in August and September. But I'm not sure with how I'm harvesting it. I'm not sure if it's gonna flower for them or not. It will eventually. But I'm also going to try just cutting it back and seeing if it will come back to life later on next year. I don't know that it will, since it's not in the main bed. It's going to get a little bit colder in the cinder blocks, so the root may or may not make it through the winter. Planting things like this in ground in the herb category is usually a safer bet for overwintering. We've had good luck for the most part in the bed, especially with the lavender lately. The main thing I'm hoping is going to actually overwinter this year is going to be the chamomile. I still have some chamomile from last year that I had harvested because it flowered last year. Now this guy this year is a brand spanking new plant from this year, but it hasn't flowered yet. So I'm okay with that. Like I said, I've got some flowers left over from last year, but I'm hoping that at some point it does flower. But even more than that, I hope it comes back next year because for whatever reason, I've not been able to get the chamomile to come back. I've planted it in the ground in the permaculture area even, and I cannot get these guys to come back to save my life, it seems like. So I'm really, really hopeful that this will be the game changer. It looks like it's a really healthy plant. It's spreading out. It's really, really fluffy. It's not leggy looking. So I'm taking that as a good sign. I hope. I don't know. If any of you have a little bit more experience with chamomile, please leave me a comment down below. Give me some ideas, tips, or tricks, because this girl could use all the help she can get. Now, let's talk about my dill plant. So this dill plant, one of the ones that I started from seed this year, as you can see, it is going to seed. That's what these flowers mean. Now this isn't a bad thing. I decided to go on ahead and leave it. A lot of people, when things like this start happening, parsley will tend to bolt this time of the year. Cilantro will bolt like this time of the year. As soon as it gets really, really hot, things like this just end up going to seed. So this is where the seeds will come from down the line. But butterflies, bees, pollinators love dill flower, to be honest. So that's why I went on ahead and left it. And you will actually see me leave up what you would consider to be like dead flowers. You know, they're not pretty looking, they're not in their prime. So for instance, like these guys back here, you can see that guy's brown and dead. But that's part of the whole system of it. It's going to create seeds, it's going to drop seeds, it's going to make more of this really pretty, sweet daisy-like flower. It's going to be there to feed birds. Same with sunflowers. One of the things that I do not do with sunflowers, a lot of people will pull their sunflowers as soon as they start to die out as far as their heads go. Like, people will often pull sunflowers at this stage because you can see it's definitely like dead. This guy here too, it's on its way out. But in here, there's a bunch of seeds and things, and that's where you get the sunflower seeds from the sunflower. And pollinators still really love them in that stage. So I keep them for the bees, the butterflies. We have birds, we have squirrels that like to eat off of them, and I'm totally okay with that. So I do leave weird things like that out here just to help with the ecosystem and the circle of life. Plus, I do enjoy watching the birds and the squirrels occasionally, as long as they're not doing anything funny in my garden. If they're doing something funny in my garden, sort of like the catbirds were with my strawberry plants, then I take exception. And Guys, if you grow nothing but herbs, herbs are a great starting place for gardeners. It doesn't matter what level of skill you do or do not have when it comes to gardening. Herbs are just easy. They're not a complicated thing to grow. Herbs are a lot like weeds. Most of them don't even require really good soil. So, I mean, you want soil that's airy. That's part of our soil issue, is that the soil that we had is a little bit like a brick. It was really, really hard, really, really compacted, which has seemed to be the problem that we've had overall with it. The root systems on the herbs just weren't able to thrive in those circumstances. But as long as you have good loose soil, herbs do not need a lot of care. So you are not coming out here and having to fertilize every week. You're not having to come out and turn in a bunch of compost and manure. I normally do that only once every 2 years in this bed, at least in the original bed. That's what we did. We would add a couple of bags of soil in about every 2 years, just spread it out over the top, give everything a good water, and then leave it alone. And that's pretty much all that we would do, and then plant in whatever herbs we were planting in, or just wait for the herbs that were coming back to come back. So very, very low maintenance, very, very easy. Let me think. A few exceptions as far as temperament goes. So I mentioned cilantro, parsley, and dill. This time of the year with the heat, if you have them outside, they are gonna bolt. That's normal for them. But if you are doing some seed starting, you can go on ahead and seed start some now, and you should be able to plant September-ish. And you should be able to get at least another small harvest if you want to shoot for it. Rosemary and lavender. Those are probably, I want to say, the most temperamental that I've had to work with. And the reason that I would call them temperamental is because they do not like good soil at all. Lavender, in fact, in our area doesn't tend to thrive real well. Lavender likes drier climates, and we are a very wet and humid climate here. So the heat, lavender's totally fine with. The amount of moisture, not so much. So I had to learn to, number one, go on ahead and mix in some rock. And that's what I did. There's actually rock in there mixed into the soil with the lavender, and I water it once every other week. That's how little I water lavender in our area, just because it does not thrive in our climate when you water it. The other one that has been very temperamental for me is going to be rosemary. So I was getting a bunch of stuff and just standing in line, ended up talking to a fellow gardener and talking about rosemary and lavender and what was going on here on La Casita Jardin, and told him a little bit of my struggle with rosemary, and he told me exactly what I was suspicious of, which was don't put it in a pot, don't put it in a raised bed, put it in the ground and just leave it. And I went, okay, well that was basically what I came to, because that is the last thing that I have not done yet. And we had, at that point, four or five rosemary plants out here. And I hadn't quite dug the holes for them yet. So you would have seen that on the front garden walkway part 2, is me putting those in. And I had talked to that guy like 2 days before I ended up putting those in. So I'm crossing my fingers that the rosemary up front is going to overwinter for us for the very first time, because we eat a lot of rosemary. We enjoy a lot of rosemary. Rosemary likes poor soil, which is probably why the guy said to put it in the ground here. Our soil is very, very bad soil. It is not nutrient dense soil. It tends to be heavy in rock and clay. So the only thing I did, and this is one thing that I would recommend, is go on ahead and mix in some sand when you go to put it in the ground, because it does not like its roots to be real wet. I have a friend. Are you stalking me? I have a stalker. Come say hi to the people. You have egg on your face. Want to say hi to the people? Yes, I love you too. This is Roxy. She's my oldest, aka Houdini, because she figured out how to get around the doggy barrier that we have on the porch. On your little snot here. Okay, so anyway, back to the rosemary before I lose you. So go on ahead and whatever soil you get to put it in the ground, mix some sand into it. If you want to try putting it in a raised bed, I would recommend putting it into a larger section, sort of like we have here. I wouldn't put it in one of the holes. I would put it in a larger section, but do the same thing. Mix in, like I did with the lavender, mix in some rock and some sand, because it does not like its feet to be wet. Same with the lavender. They do not like their little rooty feety to be wet at all. And in our area, with the level of dampness that we've got going on, it's really hard to accommodate them sometimes. Basil, I can get that to explode like crazy, but rosemary and lavender, they lead the struggle bus. So yeah. All right, so that's all I've got for you today on our garden tour. I hope you guys enjoy this, and I think technically, yeah, it should be August 1st that this is going to be posted on. I think it's August 1st. Obviously I'm filming this like a day ahead. I don't know what happened to July, seriously. But if you have any questions or comments, tips or tricks, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And if you would love to support our urban farm, go on ahead and check out my website, Fragrances of Eden. It should be in the link in the bio down below. I'll also link in my Instagram account so that you can follow me throughout the week there. My dog is trying to decide if she wants to go upstairs or not here. All right, so guys, hey, you too, say goodbye to the people. All right, guys. As always, keep it simple, natural, and essential, and stay cool. I will see you on the next one.